Subscribe to our channel for more terrifying horror videos.
5.
The camera enters a white antique room filled with old furniture and disturbing collectibles. The silence already feels wrong. As it moves deeper, the room feels heavier, like something unseen is quietly watching from the corners. The camera stops at a tall mirror, and the reflection immediately feels unnatural, almost out of place. A childlike silhouette appears in the mirror, completely still, as if it has always been there. Faint glowing points form where the eyes should be, slowly becoming visible in the dark. The figure tilts its head slightly, as if it's aware it is being watched. When the camera is fixed on an old, tall mirror, they are confronted with an unexpected scene. A childlike shadow appears inside the mirror's frame. As they nervously observe this child, a pair of identical orbs can be seen above it. 2 points of light that gradually become slightly more visible, as if it is slowly turning its head. I think this shadow child might just be a large doll. However, even if that is the case, as far as I know, only living creatures' eyes can reflect light in this way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but an inanimate doll shouldn't have glowing eyes.
4.
This doll is rumored to drive anyone who stays near it completely insane, and now it's about to be left alone with someone for 3 full days. Dimmer decides to take the challenge seriously, and locks himself inside the house with a doll to document everything that happens. At first, everything feels normal, until the night reaches exactly 3 in the morning, when the silence starts to feel different. A sudden sound breaks the silence, something that feels like footsteps moving slowly through the house. Despite the fear building inside him, Dimmer still decides to go back and check on the doll, as if something is pulling him toward it. Strange sounds begin to appear from different parts of the room. Noises he can't explain or locate. Even the objects around him start to shift slightly, as if something invisible is moving through the space. Later, he finds one of the doll's tiny shoes lying on the floor, even though it wasn't there before. He stands frozen, trying to understand how it got there, or whether something moved it while he was asleep. When he checks the footage, his expression changes, because nothing about the house seems normal anymore. The doll remains perfectly still, but somehow it feels like it's now in control of the entire room. Dimmer is about to spend 3 days alone with this doll. At around 3 a.m. this happens. It sounded like footsteps. For reasons unknown, Dimmer decides to approach the doll, and almost immediately regrets that decision.
Стоп, у нее... Так, мать, давай-ка ты... Она прям на меня смотрит, блядь, я весь в мурашках.
Those dolls' eyes look completely real, don't they?
Что происходит? Что происходит, блядь? Блядь, что происходит? Ой, что случилось? Почему у меня пульс 0?
A short time later, the doll begins to move and falls onto the chair.
Что это такое? Что это такое? Что это такое?
What are these strange sounds?
Что за звук?
While the doll has taken over Dima's bed, its presence seems to be shifting objects around the room. A while later, Dima finds one of the doll's tiny shoes on the floor. How did it get there? Did the doll wander around the house while he was asleep?
Ребята, это же не вышло.
Then one of the security cameras suddenly moves on its own. Was it simply not installed properly? Or is this also the work of that possessed doll? In my opinion, it's likely that a malevolent spirit is at work. This doll is definitely possessed, and I believe the demon inside it is now freely roaming Dima's house.
3.
It all began in an ordinary room, a place where no one expected anything unusual to happen. But before long, things started to change. Things that should never have moved. The movements were so subtle that no one could be certain they had really seen them. Then the shadows began to reveal themselves, as if something was hiding behind the doll. In this case, the footage begins with a completely ordinary scene. A quiet room, dim lighting, and a doll placed neatly in the corner of a child's bedroom. At first, nothing seems unusual, but as the camera keeps rolling, small details start to change. Subtle at first, almost easy to dismiss. The doll's position appears slightly different from one frame to the next. A shadow moves behind it, even though the room is supposed to be empty. And then comes the moment that makes viewers rewind the clip again and again, the doll's head turning just slightly toward the camera. We entered the archive of the afterlife, a museum said to house some of the world's most haunted objects, a place where many believe certain artifacts are still active to this day. The first sign wasn't something we could see. Suddenly, the clear sound of breathing came from a dark corner of the room.
I just heard something from that corner.
Moments later, two mysterious shadow figures appeared behind me. They seemed to emerge from the very same corner that had been giving us an uneasy feeling from the beginning.
What am I seeing? This can't be real! Oh my god.
At the time, I didn't see anything unusual, but I could feel that something was standing behind me. It wasn't until I reviewed the footage later that I realized that feeling wasn't without reason. After the white tiger stuffed animal was moved, we decided to ask directly, who moved it? And if something was truly there, could it do it again?
Can you do it again? He took what?
In search of answers, we began an EVP session. As the room fell silent, another sound was heard, a voice that seemed to come from somewhere unknown. A short time later, something strange appeared in the footage, a phenomenon that bore no resemblance to a light reflection or a typical camera glitch, something that was not easy to explain. Among all the strange objects in the museum, one doll stood out more than the rest, a doll that seemed to be hiding something dark within it. The haunted doll had a message for us. After everything we witnessed that night, there's only one thing I can say with certainty. I would never touch this doll. Not if I valued my soul. In Plymouth, England, there is a mysterious shop known as Something Different. Among the shop's unusual collection, one item stands out above all others, a tall Mickey Mouse doll. One morning, the shop's owner, Michael Pomeroy, arrived to open the store as usual. But something unusual was waiting for him. The Mickey Mouse doll was lying face down on the floor. Even stranger, the doll was more than a foot away from where it normally stood. When the security footage was reviewed, it appeared to capture something difficult to explain. Some believe the footage is genuine, with no obvious signs of manipulation or trickery. But this is only one of the terrifying mysteries we'll be exploring tonight.